I mean, come on, man. Same things just all over YouTube. 10 things I wish I knew about War Within. Do these things, don't make my mistakes. 10 things you should do in War Within before Season 1. Man, just no originality. So today we're going to talk about a handful of things that I wish I knew before starting retail. Bad, isn't it? As someone who returned back during Dragonflight, having not played from around Legion, because much like many of you who have returned for the War Within, I've been playing a lot of Classic since 2019. There's a lot of systems in the game that you're going to be unfamiliar with, and I would say the crafting system is going to be the major one. Understanding how to do your rotation and what sort of gear is good for you, and generally being able to work out what's going on in heroics and raids when they eventually come, it's quite basic. It doesn't matter which version of WoW you've been playing, that bit is not going to be too complicated. But the upgrade tracks and knowing what Explorer versus Adventurer versus Veteran or Champion, but what does that all mean? So we're going to break that down firstly and then move on to crafting. Like I said in a video recently, the easiest way to think about it is if you're doing harder content, you're going to get better gear. That has basically never changed in WoW. So the Explorer upgrade track, the gear comes from like world quests and delves and normal dungeons. The next track is going to be Adventurer, which again is still world quests, weekly world quests, delves 3 and above now, and heroic difficulty dungeons. And as you know, these start at 571. So if you've been spamming heroics, you can get 571 gear. And if you fully upgrade them, they're going to go up to 593. Now, currently in pre-season, the highest gear you can get is Veteran. Now, Veteran upgrades all the way to 610, and this starts at 584. So these tracks overlap. The highest eye level of Explorer, so a fully upgraded Explorer piece, is going to actually be better than an Adventurer piece that has 0 upgrades in terms of just pure eye level. And the same way a fully upgraded Adventurer would be better because it would be 593 versus a 0 upgraded Veteran piece, which would be 584. Of course, there's another 3, which is Champion, Hero, and Myth. And as you start going into higher delves, getting your weekly vault, doing mythic dungeons, you'll start getting that gear. But I think for pre-season, as long as you're focusing on, right, where do I get Explorer, Adventurer, and Veteran from, you're off to a good start. And when it comes to actually upgrading these pieces, in Dornagale, you're going to visit this guy, and by using some currency, he's going to be able to upgrade your gear. Now, depending on what track you're on, depends on how far it's going to upgrade. So, for example, using these boots, which are on the Adventurer track, we know the maximum it can go to is 593. You can skip and look through each of these and look at how much they're going to cost. Now, a big thing when it comes to upgrading these is, firstly, if you've already got a piece in that slot that's higher item level, you'll get the Valor Stones discounted, and you only use crests in one of these slots once. So at the moment, I've upgraded my boots to the 590 crafted boots, but before that, I was using 580, which of course I had upgraded to 4 of 8. Now, because I've got a higher eye level set already in that slot, when I use a 571 pair of boots that I want to upgrade, perhaps because it's got an avoidance stat or a leech stat or something like that, and actually I would rather use those instead. Firstly, I'm going to get a discount on the amount of Valor Stones, but also when you get to the point where it's going to need crests, I don't need to spend any crests at all. Because if I wanted to get to 590 eye level, I've already got 590 eye level boots, so all the crests are now 0. Now, this is actually an interesting way of gearing, particularly for people that are going particularly hard, because if I wanted to upgrade a heroic pair of boots like these from a dungeon all the way up to 593 eye level, it's going to cost 15 weathered crests for 5, 6, 7, and 8. So it would be 60 weathered crests in total. If you get a crafted pair of boots like these, because they're 590 already, you'll still have to use Valor Stones to upgrade it to 5, 6, and 7, but it's only at 8 you'll need to use any crests. So upgrading from the 7 to the 8 upgrade is going to still cost 15 crests. But what this means is because it costs 30 of these crests to actually get an item made, and then 15 to then upgrade the 8th time, you can actually get 593 items for 45 crests instead of the 60 it would cost without having an item crafted. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a bit of messing about there because you're going to have to go and do crafting orders and all of that, which that's something else I wish I knew about, which we're going to talk about very soon. But it is definitely the cheapest way to get your items to 593 using the minimal amount of crests. Another interesting thing is this is warband wide. So if I go on my freshly dinged paladin and say I want to upgrade my 571 belt, you can see the text for the Valor Stones is in green. Now, this is because it costs fewer Valor Stones because a character in my warband has already acquired an item with a higher item level So actually 590 in that slot, because you've seen on my monk, I've got the crafted belt. So this will actually then get a Valor Stone discount. And this is important because the Valor Stones are the most important, because you're going to use those all the way through Season 1. Well, you're going to use them in every season, but pre-season is really the only time you're going to use these weathered ones, and we'll get onto that in a minute. So that's the gear track and the gear that you can get. That's how you upgrade those pieces of gear and how you can manipulate the system a little bit to save some weathered crests. So the next thing that takes some time to get your head around will be the crafting system in general. Gone are the days where you just max your profession and you're finished. The professions play a huge part all the way through the game, and that's because you specialize into certain things. So for example, for me, I've actually specialized into goggles and bracers, because this particular character is going to be the one that I want to be able to make gear on, whereas my ult's going to be specialized into devices, so I can make some of the tinkers. Now, rather than talk you through the whole system, because every profession is slightly different, I think the main thing to understand is how to get these specialization points so you can build out your profession spec however you want, and obviously get lots and lots of points to spend in there, and the crafting order system. So starting with how you actually get specialization points as you're leveling your profession, in the crafting orders section is actually a really good way, because patron crafting orders is basically like a bit of an introduction on how the crafting orders works across the server, but also you're going to get some nice stuff that you need along the way. Now, these NPCs all want something crafted, and if you go into them, for example, this one wants a pausing pylon, I can see the reward's going to be a little artisan bag that I'm going to get 51 gold, and I'm going to get artisan's acuity, which is really important to be able to buy more specialization points. Now, it's worth looking at these and doing as many as you can, because some of them actually give you engineering knowledge or knowledge of whatever your profession is, which is obviously the specialization points that you put in here. Can't stress enough how important patron orders are. You want to be doing as many of them as you can. There'll of course be some that you just haven't got the recipes for, but try and clear out all the ones that you can do, because check back here every day or so and you'll see some new ones to do. For example, yesterday the only ones I had here were the 2 guns, and I couldn't craft those, so in the space of about 24 hours I've had 5 or 6 added. But it is literally as easy as starting the order, sorting out the materials that you've got to supply, and then hitting create. There really is no more to it than that. You just complete the order, and now your mailbox will have the little bag and whatever the other reward was with it. Now, there's lots of ways you can track the other ways to get knowledge points. This week aura in particular is one that I use, so I can go to, say, engineering and see that I still need to get the pristine engineering scribblings, which if I click on that, it will take me to just where I can spend the artisan's acuity. Now, I know I haven't got enough of that at the moment, so it's irrelevant. But you want to go around and get all of the ones that you can. In each zone, there's also a couple of treasures that you can go and get, which is also going to give you points. But honestly, just playing the game, you'll just notice that you'll be getting points, especially if you are flying around and you're picking treasures up that you see. You know, you're killing rares that you find, and all of that whilst you're doing other things. Like, you ain't got to stress about finding absolutely everything straight away, but I would say if you're a couple of points off of, say, finishing 30 of 30 in goggles, then go and look at what you're actually missing. But you can spend acuity on getting 10 engineering points, with different renown levels being 12 for Council of Dornegal as an example. You'll be able to get extra profession knowledge as well. There's just tons of ways to get it, including actually a crafted item, which you can go to the crafting orders for, or if you can make them yourself on a character, then great. But these treaties, you can just go down and see Algari, like tailoring, skinning, mining. You can get one of these made a week. Now, it's only a single knowledge point, but just make sure you get one every week, because honestly, the mats are pretty cheap. Now, I think that's enough of the basics of the professions. Obviously, you can get tools that give you certain benefits, which when you look at those, what they give you, you can see, for example, resourcefulness as a chance to use fewer reagents. You've got crafting speed, multi-craft, so you get a chance to make more than one of something. And then you've got concentration that you're going to use to fill this bar up to ensure you get to that next level to do a big craft. Now, it's about 100 hours for your concentration to actually fully regen, so you want to use that very sparingly. But honestly, I think ultimately just playing around with the professions, crafting stuff, going out and getting the highest level of materials, so you have like tier 1, 2 and 3 of materials, try and get the best materials to make better items and put knowledge points in things that you're actually interested in making. You need to just explore and enjoy that on your own. But the crafting orders that I just touched on are incredibly important for far more than just getting 1 point of engineering each week. Because I mentioned when we was talking about the upgrades about being able to get crafted items at 590. Now, on the basis you can go to the enchanting vendor and use 30 weathered harbinger crests, to be able to make an enchanted crest that goes in the gear, which guarantees it to be 577 eye level, all the way up to 590, as long as you've got a crafter doing it that has a lot of knowledge points in that particular piece. It's actually cheaper in crests to make one of these than it is to upgrade an item to 593. But, like I said, when it comes to upgrading an item to 593 and getting a crafted item made in that slot before you do it, that's very min-maxy, I want to say, and not everyone needs to bother doing that, because you've got the effort and the gold layout of getting the 590 made in the first place, when you could just get a 590 made and, you know, not worry about that other 3 item level. In which case, you're getting far more value just from those 30 crests getting an item crafted than you are from getting an item upgraded from a heroic all the way to 593. I'll just touch on how you actually use the crafting order system. So when it comes to actually doing these crafting orders, first you're going to want to go to the clerk that's in Dornagale, located here. Then you're going to want to look at the weapon or the armor piece. For this example, we're going to get a belt made from one of the guys in the guild. So we're going to go to waste, and we're looking for the 545 items. Now, when you go into the 545 item and then put in your crest, like you can see, obviously it can go up to 590, which is exactly what we want. So you're going to want to first make sure you're using the highest quality materials to make sure you're getting as close to that 590 mark as possible. And then you're going to want a couple of other things, possibly. So the embellishment, you can only have 2 of these on. So if you've already got 2 in other pieces of gear, you don't need to worry about adding an embellishment. If you haven't, again, you want to go and grab one of these off the auction house. Now, these embellishments can be particularly expensive, so don't feel bad if you leave these out for now, or you just pick up some of the cheaper embellishments just to put in. But some of them, like I say, are cheaper than others, and remember, the lower quality that you put in, the less chance there is of the crafter to be able to get it all the way to the maximum eye level. So ideally, you want to be putting in the top quality materials and the top quality optional reagents, but make sure you just speak to your crafter, because I'm sure my crafter's going to be able to get away with me just putting in a 2-star quality Dawn thread lining in. Even with me, ideally, I'd want to be putting Dusk thread in, because versatility is much, much better for me, but I'm not paying 38k just for a tier 2. But now we've got all the mats, we can run back to the crafting orders and get one put in. So we wanted armor, leather, waist, and the Spelunker's practice sash. Again, make sure you're using the highest level materials, put in all of the things that you've just been and bought, agree a commission with the person that you're actually getting to make it, on the basis this is someone from the guild that I know very, very well. I'm going to give him 69 gold and 69 silver for his efforts. Before you place the order, make one quick check to make sure that none of these reagents are mixed like mine was, so now you're definitely using the maximum quality of everything, and then send it off and wait. I've told him that I've sent one, so hopefully he jumps on it straight away. Luckily, this crafter's on the ball. And then once it's done, you'll get a message saying that the order has been fulfilled, and I can see, before I even go to the mailbox, he's done it at the maximum quality. And easy as that, you've got yourself a 590 upgrade. And then the other thing that's important is the currency's actual caps. So there's a seasonal maximum for carved and Weatherstones, even though you can actually go over these caps if you trade them in. If you trade a higher crest for a lower crest, actually you can exceed that seasonal cap. But in general, pay attention to the caps, particularly the Valor Stones. If you're at 2000 before the first season and you're still playing the game, you're still doing heroics and stuff like that, or doing PvP, it's worth upgrading an item just to go under the cap to then get back to the cap again. You can kind of go over the cap anyway. Now, there are kind of try-hard ways of actually stocking up far more than 2,000 for Season 1, like by stacking up on the wax that you can hand in Rigging Deeps for 10 Valor Stones each, or even if you've got items in your bag that contain Valor Stones but not opening them until Season 1 when you've already gone under that 2k cap again. But, you know, just for someone who just wants some knowledge of the game because they've just returned to the War Within, you don't really need to worry about doing things like that. Now, the reason the caps are quite important, as I say, is those weathered Harbinger crests. Now, don't be scared to use them all. You'll see I've only got 4. I don't really care about them. I'll use all of them because I know when the season starts, I'm not going to need them anymore. And the reason for that is the majority of my gear is going to come from the raid, the world bosses, or of course, just Mythic Zeros, not even Mythic Plus. Now, when you look at Mythic Zeros, they drop 593 item level, and it's on the Veteran track. Now, the Veteran track is already upgraded to 4 of 8, so when you go to upgrade these items, you're only going to need Carved. And on the basis, all the gear you're going to get probably from Season 1 onwards is going to be M0, really high-level Delves, or the raid itself. Weathered just are not going to be needed anymore. So spend all those weathered crests now, getting as high item level as you can, to make those M0s and everything that little bit easier. Again, honestly, just using them every time you get to 30, buying a Crest and getting an item made to 590 straight away without wasting Valor Stones, in my opinion, at least, it's just the best way to go. Next up would be your delve keys. Now, I gotta be honest, I've kind of been stung by this because I have done 1 or 2 bountiful delves before. I actually realised myself, not anybody telling me, although I kind of wish someone told me before I wasted those 2 keys, or I at least read stuff online rather than just playing a game all the time, that you need to save them. I know everybody now is telling you to save them, but if this is the first War Within video you're watching because you've just returned, definitely do not use your coffer keys until Season 1 starts. And the reason for this is, at the moment, we can only get to Tier 3. Obviously, as you go up through the tiers, all the way up to 8, you're going to just get higher item level gear, so you might as well wait until you get to 8, at which point these are going to be giving 603 eye level gear on the champion track. So these are going to be exactly the same eye level as what you're going to get from the world bosses, so it's going to be 603 on the champion track, upgraded 3 of 8. So you're going to be able to use your carved crest to get these up to 4 of 8, and then when you want to go further, you're going to need rune crests, which we're not getting at the moment. But that's the exact reason why, again, weathered crests, just use them. Delve keys, absolutely save them. Get to 8, and then use all your keys on Tier 8 bountiful delves. Hopefully you get lucky and you're going to get some really nice gear. So it's definitely going to be worth the wait. Now, world quests are something that I do quite a lot of, I must admit, because I've been leveling characters recently. I've kind of been slacking, but ordinarily there's barely any world quests even visible on my map because I'm just clearing them all out. And of course, on the basis we now know that we're going to get lots and lots of good gear from these Tier 8 delves, making sure that you always do the world quests that are giving coffer key fragments is definitely the way to go. If you ever see one pop up on your map, make sure you go and get it done, because when you combine 100 of these, that's an extra piece of loot that you're going to get in a bountiful delve. Well, not get extra loot in the delve, but it's another key you've got to do a delve that's bountiful and open the chest at the end. So, but yeah, it's an extra item, isn't it? There's also world quests that are going to give you items, so if there's a particular item that you're struggling to get, like a trinket, for example, always check these out and get them done. But you'll find these coffer key shard quests in various different zones. So again, anytime you see them up, just get them done. But world quests in general are great to do. Just go and clear them out for rep, for resonance stones, for valor stones, and they're all so quick and easy. Just fly around and smash them out. And just a little bonus one for anyone who likes doing pet battles. These pet battles do actually scale in level. If you're using level 25 pets, you'll be fighting a level 25. Whereas you can actually just use level 1 pets, which make it significantly easier, and then you ain't even got to skip the pet battle world quest, because they just take a few seconds and you can just use a team of level 1s. Which, for someone who's re-rolled from EU to NA, this was particularly useful just because I haven't got a massive choice of pets. 2 more things and I'm going to do them quick. Renown. Renown is very important. Do all your side quests, make sure you've done your campaign, obviously. Do world quests, make sure you're getting your weeklies done. Just playing the game, you're going to get your renowns up anyway, but there's some good rewards at different renown levels. Like at level 7, for a couple of them, you can get a 584 veteran piece, which, of course, with just resonance stones, you'll be able to buy this on any of your alts as well. You get tons of crests as rewards, or even valor stones as rewards. Like I say, when you get to 12, you're going to start getting profession knowledge. But ultimately, all of this stuff you're just going to get as you go along. But if you're looking for things to do, spending time anyway, maximizing your renown gain as you can, is definitely worthwhile. I must admit, it's something I've been slacking on a little bit, but I've still got all the side quests to go and do, so maybe this weekend. And then finally, to get ready for Season 1, don't underestimate the power of follower dungeons. Now, I know that seems like a weird thing to say, but on the basis all of us have got very limited experience in these dungeons, going in a follower dungeon and learning what the trash does, what their abilities are, what needs interrupting, watching what things go on the floor, seeing what the bosses do and how their mechanics work, it can be really, really useful. It's actually a great way to spend your time if you want to start learning for Mythic Plus, because as weird as it sounds, I think you're going to learn more in a follower dungeon than you're actually going to learn in Heroics, because in Heroics everyone just runs in, zergs the mobs down, and GG, leave. That's it. In a follower dungeon, you can really take your time and just stand back and let the NPCs fight, and you can watch what everything's casting. You can watch what the boss needs you to do. I think it's kind of a system that's slept on by most people, so That would really be my last piece of advice. And really, I'd say these are the main things that I kind of wish that I knew before starting retail, or at least wish that I'd put some effort into researching before starting retail up again during Dragonflight, because I think the crafting system is one of the biggest ones, but how to upgrade, the discounts you get on the upgrades, all the things that we've spoke about with the Valor Stones and the Crests, I personally think that is like useful stuff to know and useful stuff to get your head around. So if you enjoyed the video, as always, like and subscribe. I'm going to watch the England-Northern Ireland game now, so I'll see you on the next one.